Welcome to the True Man Podcast. This is an invitation to radical reconstruction of a man's masculine heart and soul in a place of safe community where we dare to ask questions deep seated inside a man and explore ways to help you become a better man, a better son, a better dad, and a better spouse. Well, welcome on back here to the True Man Podcast. We are already moving into the long winter month of January. I always think of January as really kind of the longest, coldest month. It's always like, if I can survive January, I can survive darn near anything. But it certainly feels like the older I get, the faster time goes. And it's hard for me to believe that, man, 2025 is already behind us and we've jumped into 2026. But here we go. There is no stopping it. And men, you have complete control over your life through the help of God. And that I want you to know right off the bat, because we don't want other people controlling our attitudes and our minds. And really, for the most part, that's what this True Man Podcast is all about, is you, through the help of God, gaining back control of your mind, your spirit, your health, your body. All of these things are things that we're going to continue to expand on and explore in 2026. Now, circling back to 2025, remember last spring I put out True Man, True Ways, a roadmap of discovery to the masculine heart. I want you to get that book. Go out to my website, truemanlifecoaching.com. Get that book. Let me know what you think about it. And would love for you to get your hands on that book. Also, True Man Inner Circle. You've heard me talking about this over the last few weeks. This is a newsletter that we are getting out here in 2026. It's important because there's going to be a lot of things happening in the True Man world, and we want you to be able to get your hands on that as the year goes on. We will expand on that. We will pack it full of information so that you can be the very best true man that you can be. Now, you can go to the show notes today. You can sign up for that newsletter. Or you can, again, go to truemanlifecoaching.com. About midway through the page there, you will find a place to sign up for that newsletter. And there are many, many, many great things that we are planning on and exploring here in 2026, despite some of the uncertainty. There may be a lot of road trips for True Man this year, maybe taking this microphone on the road. Who knows? We may have to take advantage of a hotel room someplace. I don't know. There are some interesting things in the works here in the world of True Man. But nonetheless, let's get on to today's podcast. Now, last week, I talked about character, really, really important. And during that conversation, I touched on courage. Now, this week, I want to stay right there, because courage isn't just a virtue that we admire. It's a very important aspect of our lives. It's a decision that we're all being asked to make right now in many ways, aren't we? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not talking about courage in theory. I'm talking about courage because I need it right now. I need to talk about courage. Now, I'm not one of those word of the year guys, okay? I know a lot of people are. There's nothing wrong with it if that's your thing. Now, I've noticed over the years, though, that you hear a lot of talk about these words in January, but you don't hear much about them, by the time July, August, or November rolls around. So it kind of turns into a New Year's resolution thing. Big declarations and little follow through. And my thing is, I think you need to be all in if you're going to be, this is my word of the year. I mean, everything should be centering, your purpose should be centering around it if that's what you prayed about. And, that's where you are with your word of the year. But courage has been bouncing around in my head anyway here over the last week or two, really since I started talking about the idea of character and we did the other podcast. Not because courage sounds good, but because life is asking it of me right now. Mike, how about a little bit more courage for you? How about a little bit more courage for your kids? How about a little bit more courage for your family? How about a little bit more courage as it relates to what you're called to do in the world? Is life asking you something similar? Can you relate to that? Maybe it's, courage is something that life is asking of you too. So let me ask you, what does courage even mean anymore? Is it taking risk? Is it standing firm? Is it pushing forward when your back is against the wall? Or is it staying put when everything in you wants to run? Now, when the pressure hits, is it your finest hour? Or do you cut and run? Ouch. Now, Napoleon Hill said it pretty plainly in his book, Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest books ever written outside of the Bible, outside of some other self-help books that I can help you with in our Give to Be Great community, which is another aspect of the True Man community. Think and Grow Rich is simply one of the greatest books ever written. Napoleon Hill just absolutely nailed it. I encourage you to read that book. But in Think and Grow Rich, this is what Napoleon Hill said about courage. Courage is the most important of all the virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Let me read that again. Courage is the most important of all virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. So without courage, your values stay theoretical. Without courage, your faith stays private. Without courage, your intentions, well, they never turn into actions. And you can know what's right in the world. A lot of people pretend to and still not do it. You can love your family and still fail to lead them. You can believe in God and still live a life ruled by fear. In fact, doesn't that describe most people? Because belief without courage doesn't move. Now, do you remember The Wizard of Oz? This was a movie about life in so many ways, wasn't it? The Scarecrow wanted a brain. The Tin Man wanted a heart. Dorothy just wanted to go home. And that lion, what did he want? Well, he wanted courage. But why did the lion want courage? Because as the so-called king of the beast, he felt ashamed, embarrassed, inadequate. He scared himself. He flinched if he believed he was missing something essential. Is that you? Have you ever felt that? I know I have. And yet, if you've watched the movie, you know the truth. The lion shows courage again and again on the journey that they're on that yellow brick road. He just couldn't see it himself. It's sometimes hard to see, isn't it? But let me ask you something that matters more than the movie, I think, ever could. Why do you want courage? Not the church answer. Come on now. Not the Instagram answer. That doesn't matter either. The real one. Is it because you feel like you're supposed to be stronger than you are right now? Is it because you're tired of second guessing yourself? Is it because fear is quietly running your life? Is it because your wife needs more from you than silence? Is it because your kids are watching and you know it? I'll tell you why I need courage in this hour of my life. Because uncertainty is loud. A lot of noise right now. Because the future, well, it doesn't feel neatly packaged. In fact, right now, it looks like I wrapped it. And I'll tell you, you get a Christmas present from me, you know it came from me. Not very neat. Are there moments when I don't have the clarity I want, but I still have to lead? Well, yes, I get to lead. You know, my stomach is churning right now just talking about courage because deep down, I know this is my moment to take life by the horns. But yet, nearly every morning before my feet hit the floor, my mind goes to war. Maybe you know this battle. I wake up, and before I even step into the day, the thoughts start rolling in, right? You're not good enough. No one really cares. You're going to mess this up. Don't even try. Well, there's no way you're going to pull this off. Fear doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It's that little dude sitting on your shoulder, just whispering away, trying to take you out. And when those thoughts play on repeat, faith, well, it gets drowned out, right? Faith is the hard road. Listening to those little whispers, that's the easy stuff. You ever think to yourself, holy cow, the day just started and the devil's trying to take me out already? Does that sound familiar? And here's the truth. A lot of men won't admit. You cannot act courageously while rehearsing fear. It just doesn't work. If the soundtrack in your head is defeat, well, you're not going to move forward in faith. In fact, you'll hesitate, you'll delay, and you'll play small. I've done it. How about you? That's why I had to go back here and look at scripture, not for inspiration alone, but for ammunition, right? Because the Bible doesn't deny fear. It confronts it. It meets it head on. So let's look at a well-known character in the Bible. I've talked about this before, but it's just a very good look at a character of courage. And let's look at David. Now, understand this. David wasn't fearless. He certainly wasn't the biggest. The Bible doesn't describe him that way. He wasn't the most experienced, and he certainly wasn't the obvious choice. The Israelite army stood frozen, and Saul the king was paralyzed. Every day, Goliath, the giant, showed up, and every day, fear won. But David saw something different, didn't he? He remembered who God had been in his past. The lion, the bear, the quiet, victorious. No one applauded. God just showed up. And when Saul told him he wasn't able, David didn't puff his chest. He pointed to God. The Lord who delivered me before will deliver me again, he said. Now that's not bravado. That's memory. That's faith with a backbone, right? David's courage wasn't rooted in self-confidence. It was rooted in God confidence. Very important. So let me ask you something, maybe a little uncomfortable. What giants are you avoiding because you've forgotten what God already brought you through? What lions and bears has he already handled in your life? Yet we act like the next battle is the first one we've ever faced a lot of the times, don't we? You know, courage isn't pretending that you're not afraid. Courage is deciding that fear does not get the final word. You don't want to live in those virtual prisons of fear that we often put ourselves in. And this matters, especially for men, I think, because men don't just carry responsibilities, they set the emotional temperature of their homes. And when a man lives in fear, it leaks. And when a man avoids hard conversation, everyone feels it. When a man shrinks back, leadership doesn't disappear, it just shifts to somebody else. Now, your wife doesn't need a perfect man. She needs a courageous one. Your kids don't need a superhero. They need a father who shows them how to face life without hiding. And you don't need more information. We have plenty of that. You can get it anywhere. Most of it's not true, by the way. You need conviction. Are you going to live like the lion, convinced you're missing something? Or are you going to live like David, willing to step forward with what you already have? Because here's the truth. Courage isn't found. It's chosen. It's choosing to trust God when the outcome isn't guaranteed. It's choosing to act when fear gives you 100 reasons not to. And it'll certainly do that. It's choosing obedience over comfort. Oh, God forbid we be uncomfortable, right? And that choice has to be made again tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. So as this year begins, let me challenge you. Where do you need courage right now? Is it in your marriage? Is it in your parenting? Is it in your faith? Is it in your calling? In the conversations you've been avoiding, we all do this from time to time. In the step you know you need to take, what change if you stop asking? What would change if you stopped asking, what if this fails? And started asking, what if God is faithful? Because he always has been. This year doesn't need louder men. It, in fact, needs braver ones. Man, we don't talk about that enough. Men who don't run, men who don't hide, men who don't wait for perfect conditions, and men who step forward, not because they feel ready, but because they trust God more than their fear. Now, men, that's courage. And that's how a strong year begins. So the question isn't whether courage is required. The question is simple. Will you choose it? Men, new battles are going to take shape in 2026, no different than they did last year or the year before that. Stop for a second and ask yourself, am I ready? Or am I going to do the same thing I've always done and hope it all goes away? How's that working out for you? So, I hope you enjoyed this conversation about courage. We all need to have it. We all need to dig deep. We all need to look in the mirror. There's a lot of things that are going to come your way in 2026. You know this. You know this. If you've lived a minute in life, you know the next it is coming. How are you going to prepare for the next it? Now is the time to prepare for the next it because it's coming. Let's be honest here. It's coming. If you'd like to talk more about courage and how it applies to you, reach out to me at mike@truemanlifecoaching.com. You can go out to my website, truemanlifecoaching.com. You can find my calendar there as well. And go out and get involved in the True Man community. Sign up for that True Man Inner Circle newsletter. We're going to kick that thing off. And I want your feedback on it. I want you to tell me when you receive it, you know, what you think. How can we improve it? We want to get you the information that you need so that you can become the very, very best true man that you can become. Great things are ahead in 2026. I wish the best for you and your family and this country. God bless you, and thank you for listening to the True Man Podcast. And go out and make this your very, very best day ever. See you next week.